Pastor Royce and Miss Fleety came to our church 20 years ago. We were in desperate need of strong spiritual leadership in our church. We'd been struggling for a while, and things were tough getting people to come in and speak, and they provided that leadership. The Lord sent them here. I remember, as I shared with you earlier, about revival in 1999 when there was prayers that were prayed for our pastor for this church, and I believe that the Lord worked that evening and through the next couple of months in speaking to Pastor Royce and Miss Fleety and led them here, and what a blessing it's been for our church to have them here in that spiritual leadership role and to nurture us and care for us and be here for us whatever our needs might be.
I think Royce is one of the best preachers that we've had, and he's worked with the young people and stuff in the church, and both of them has made a big difference as far as I'm concerned with the church.
Well, I came to the church when I was like 13, so it was kind of weird being like a kid coming to a new church, because I wasn't really used to it. And at the time when I first came, I didn't know Christ. I just came with my friend, and then I feel like Mr. Royce and Miss Fleety really inspired me to become a Christian in a way. So I feel like that's one of the ways they've impacted the church. They bring others closer to Christ and inspire them.
For this special couple to come to our church, and most of all, number one, to be led by God, to come back home, has meant everything to us. It's opened doors, it's allowed us to grow in all sorts of aspects of our lives, and to really experience the love of a pastor and a wife that have a great mission field in mind. They want to be led of God to reach souls, to reach the unsaved, to be there for people, to comfort people, to expand God's ministry, and not just in this church but throughout the county, and have made impacts in other areas of our district and state. We're thankful for them, and just know that this opportunity that God provided for us has come at a time in our lives that we have seen the wide effects of that.
And Jake, I can remember back in the time when we didn't have a full-time pastor. It was a mess sometimes just to get somebody to come fill in. And even when we had a pastor, it was like every other Sunday we had a preaching service. And I can remember those times, and I remember how hard it was for our church to grow and for the income coming into the church. And I think with the church having faith and Royce and Fleety having faith in us as a church to accept this position as a full-time pastor, God has really blessed this church more than one way, not only financially with attendance and growth, the people growing in the church, more and more members. He's also blessed us spiritually, and it's been just an amazing journey the last 20 years.
I think Mr. Royce has made a difference in our church in many aspects. A lot of the things that I admire about him most is one, his mission drivenness. One of the first memories of me being in this church, well, not the first memories, but my first memories of him in this church. I remember being around the year 2000 and us having a Be a Lighthouse campaign. And I remember him getting all the youth together, and he and Miss Fleety and some of his daughters. We all loaded up in cars, and we all went door to door handing out tracts and flyers, inviting people to church. And he's always been mission driven, and he's always been really involved with our youth, especially as I grew up in this church. I can remember him going with us on the majority of our youth trips, to Mount Olive, to skiing, canoeing, yeah, all those trips he was there, and he presented the word there just like he does here in church, you know. And he's a great leader. He stays the course, and both he and Miss Fleety, they're just a great example of how Christians should live their lives.
They've made a difference in my life. Royce, I enjoy his preaching and his teaching our Bible classes on Wednesday night because that helps you to grow. And Miss Fleety has worked real hard with our auxiliary and been president of our auxiliary and keeping us in line with the things we need to be doing there. And that's helped me to grow also.
Well, Royce and Fleety and myself go back a long ways. Like I say, I was in the youth program when Royce got saved, and we would meet a lot of times at his house right there where me and my family live now. And they've not only made a big impact in our life as far as it's like from then till now. I mean, they were out of the picture a while away from us, you know, and it just seemed like the Lord brought them back to be a part of this church. And I think we've been really blessed to have them, and I know they've been a blessing to me and my family.
Well, they've always been there for me individually. Anytime I needed something, they were there. When I was sick, Mr. Royce come to the hospital. Miss Fleety came to the house. Mr. Royce preaches from the Bible. He steps on my toes, and I need that. And I rededicated my life since he's been here, and I'm trying to live my life the way I should live it because of the sermons he preaches.
They've made a pretty decent sized impact in my life. Like I say, he's been my preacher almost my whole life, ever since I was about 10 years old, and he's just about the main preacher that I can remember. And he's just, like I said before, he's always been very active with the youth. So I kind of feel a little bit blessed in that. He was not only the pastor of the church, but he was pretty much our youth pastor too, and so I got a double helping of it, and I'm grateful for that. And he's been there through many times in my life that I needed guidance, and it's just some of the best days of my life he was there. I married my wife, he married us. He's dedicated my children and services, and a lot of the precious memories in my mind he's there and he's a part of, and so I'm very grateful to have him as my pastor, and I hope he has many more years in this church.
Having spent my childhood growing up in the church, and being around them, they have had so much influence on me and what it means to be a Christian. And just now that I'm older and got a child of my own, and maybe more in the future, I don't know, we'll see. But for any children that I have, that's the example that I want for my children, and I feel like they have helped to instill that into me, so that I will not depart from it, and then I will help pass that on to my children. So.
To say I thank God for sending them to us, and I just thank God for what they've done here with this church and for me personally.
Yeah, I want to tell them how thankful I am that there was an opening and they filled it, and I hope they never leave us.
Thank you for everything you have done, and I really appreciate it, and thank you so much.
I would just like to say thank you for all that they've done, and there's not many ministers that can stay in one place for 20 years and be loved and cherished, I think, by the majority of their whole congregation. And I feel like they are. Both of them are just loved and appreciated.
I say just keep on keeping on like you're doing.
Yeah. Hope maybe he can stay here another 20 years.
I would say thank you, Pastor Royce and Miss Fleety, for 20 years, and we're hoping for many, many more, and we all love you.
I would say we love you, ditto. And we look forward to many more years together, and thank God for you. God bless you.